everybody. Welcome to another episode of Disney's movies paired with books. If you're like me and you grew up with Disney, these are some books that I recommend paired with a book that kind of has the same vibe or the same genre or the same kind of character plot. So, another disclaimer just before we start, I do this every time. This is not necessarily books for kids. These movies, I'm just assuming that you're an adult who grew up with Disney, not that you're a kid watching Disney now, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense because these are pretty old movies. Anyway, today's super special because we're doing the Renaissance era. So I'm going to put up the Renaissance era right here for you, just for a little bit. This is when Disney really, exploded. All these movies are basically flawless. All of them are my favorites. These are the ones that I really, really grew up with. So I was born during this era, but these movies just lasted for forever. And so this is pretty generally thought of as the best era of Disney ever. Even modern day, yeah, I feel like pretty much everyone kind of thinks that these are the best ever. So sorry if you disagree. So yeah, this is the Disney Renaissance. I'm hopefully gonna say that okay. All right, Disney Renaissance started with Little Mermaid. I should have just put the date. I think this is 89 because Rescuers is 90. Anyway, I probably should have thought of the date, but that's okay. Little Mermaid was a very special movie to me. Very funny thing though, I never finished it. When I was a kid, I would watch this movie over and over and over again, but I would only watch it to a certain point because I love the expression on her face when she can't talk and how she still communicates and she's still so charming. And the prince could actually fall in love with her because she had a personality. So I just loved this movie, but I hated the ending. It was too scary for me as a kid. So I never watched the ending. I just watched up to when it got intense and then turned it off. So that's just a funny thing about Little Mermaid. So Little Mermaid, I went by the main character and I picked Mort. So Death is kind of the main character of this, but Mort is really the main character. Mort, this is the first Death book in Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, and it's basically a teenager who messes up the world, and that's pretty much what Ariel does in The Little Mermaid. So I love this book so much. It's really hilarious, and it has really good comedy and really good characters, and so does Little Mermaid. So this is definitely a teenager who messes stuff up, which I just love so much. So yeah, definitely Mort paired with Little Mermaid. All right. Next one is the most underrated Disney movie ever. I will fight you on this one. The Rescuers Down Under is the most underrated movie ever. Watch this movie again. It is absolutely fantastic. The animation for this time period, this was released in 1990, and the animation is the most beautiful thing ever. I love this movie so much. I watched this movie over and over and over and over again. I even got emotional when picking up the cover art because I saw, it's not the one I picked, it's not this one, but I saw the one that I had as a child on my VHS, and I got emotional over it. That's just how much of an impact this movie made on me. So it was really hard to pair, so I just went with very adventurous and a lot of captures and a lot of escapes. So I chose Edge Dancer. It's very, very funny. It's very, very good main character who with a lot of spirit, and there's a lot of capturing and rescuing and that kind of thing. So that's why I chose Edge Dancer. Obviously, it's not the same genre, but it is still such a great adventure for Edge Dancer. And I just love yeah, I love the Rescuers. I wish they had made more. That would have been so cool if they had made more Rescuers, because it seemed like it was going to be just a ton of movies, and then it never was, and it was just so sad. Anyway, yeah, read Edge Dancer if you haven't. It's also very, very short. Like, you should read it. It's gonna take you like a week. Next is what most people's favorite Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast. I grew up with all my friends. This was their favorite movie. I also very, very much loved it. I didn't watch it quite as much as they did, though. I was kind of more of a tomboy, so I didn't do as much of the romance ones. I watched more of the boy kind of ones because of my brothers and just because I was a tomboy. So yeah, Beauty and the Beast, an absolutely gorgeous movie. Now that I'm older, I do see why it's like so praised and so well acclaimed. So for Beauty and the Beast, I feel like this one's a little bit on the nose. Is Warbreaker, sacrificing for a family member, kind of selling yourself, which sounds really dark. And this was really scary. When I was reading Warbreaker, I was like, how dark does this book go? Because it could have gone way darker. But it didn't go that dark. And then, yeah. And then you know the rest if you've read Warbreaker. If you haven't, I'm not going to spoil it. Just take my word for it. It's a lot like Beauty and the Beast. So if you like Beauty and the Beast, you definitely should read Warbreaker. Also, how cool is the cover? You should read it. So yeah, Warbreaker is definitely very, very similar vibes and plot to Beauty and the Beast. So, all right, next is Aladdin, which is the one I watched way more. I watched Aladdin and the sequel, Aladdin Prince of Thieves. I didn't watch the second one for some reason, but the third one I watched a ton. Very weird. But Aladdin and Aladdin Prince of Thieves, I watched constantly. I watched them so much. So I loved Aladdin, and I loved Princess Jasmine, and just the vibes and everything. So this one I went off of kind of the misunderstandings in it, which was not my favorite part. I hate like the liar revealed kind of plot. And obviously the disparity in class and everything, so that immediately made me think of Jane Austen. So I picked Sense and Sensibility for that one. And so that one is because of the class difference, but also because of the stupid misunderstanding and the male character really not communicating well and kind of underestimating his heart kind of and being immature. So yeah, very similar male plot to Sense and Sensibility. Very highly recommend, by the way. Sense and Sensibility, if you haven't read it. It is my second or third favorite Jane Austen. It's still a 5 out of 5 for me. I read it. I reread it all the time. So yeah, if you liked Aladdin, maybe you'd like this book. All right. And then the next one I also don't have a book for. I do kind of have a book. It's just in the whole series, in a book with the whole series. So I didn't want to pull out the ginormous book. I think that I'll just put in the individual book here. The next one is my favorite Disney movie, The Lion King. Obviously, growing up in Africa. Now, as an adult, this movie makes me cry. Just the first introduction just makes me bawl because it makes me so homesick. Just the Zulu in it, and then the landscapes and the animals. It just makes me so emotional. So if you don't know, this is basically the story of Hamlet, but with animals in Africa. And just what an amazing concept. I don't know who came up with that, but give them a raise. And so Lion King just had a huge impact on my life, and it probably was my most watched Disney video as a child. So yeah, so the book I'm pairing with it is pretty obvious if you think about it, is Prince Caspian. It's basically the same plot if you think about it. It's the uncle is trying to kill the nephew because the nephew is the rightful heir. And the uncle killed the father. It's pretty on the nose. But yeah, read Chronicles of Narnia if you haven't already. I wouldn't read this one first. I would read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe first. But if you're curious about Prince Caspian, I have a review and I'll link it down below. It's a really, really good one. It's like kind of pretty far up there for me as far as I remember. I don't really remember how I ranked them now. It's been more than a year. So yeah, Prince Caspian and Lion King, pretty on the nose there, pretty obviously connected. All right, the next 5 I feel like are all pretty underrated. They weren't quite as popular, but they're still really good movies. Pocahontas is one that I never watched as a kid. I only watched as an adult because my parents had this other animated Pocahontas. I don't know if I'll be able to find a picture of it. If I find a picture of it, I'll put it up. This one was really, really good. I grew up with this one and it was really well done and beautiful, and it was like more historically accurate, so that's what my parents were into. So no, I never watched Pocahontas as a kid. I watched it as an adult though, and I really liked it as an adult. So this one's a little on the nose too, but it's kind of a stretch in other ways too. Is State of Fear, the only Michael Crichton that has like a really good romance. So this one is kind of an enemies to lovers, kind of, not really, ish, and also very much like you realizing that the side you're on is not the right one in the middle. So I really like it for that. And so I just watched this and I just reviewed it. I'll link the review down below as well. So yeah, this one I pair with Pocahontas because it's definitely, I forget his name now, John Smith, the most normal name ever, why would you forget it? John Smith basically realizing he's on the wrong side. So that's why I picked this one. All right, next is Hunchback of Notre Dame, is another one that I didn't watch until I was older. I think I was a teenager when I started watching Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it was very, very special to me. I don't know why I didn't watch it as a kid. I think we just didn't own it. But yeah, really, really good one. It's beautiful, but it's also like rather dark and kind of intense. So the way I paired this one was mostly that he was raised by the bad guy. So that's like kind of what I had in my head, like what series was he kind of raised by the bad guy? And I couldn't really think of any, but then I remembered Dresden Files. So he wasn't exactly raised by the bad guy, at least not to my knowledge. I am not very far in the series at all. So Dresden people, don't come at me. I have only read like 5 of them and they're really short. But in this one you meet his godmother and his godmother is evil. So that's kind of where I paired it. The other parallels is that he's like rescuing everybody, but he doesn't get much thanks. So this is also like Quasimodo. So I kind of like connected it that way. So I feel like if you like Hunchback of Notre Dame, you might like this series, which is Dresden Files. All right. The next one was so hard for me, and I don't know why. It was Hercules, and I feel like I did watch this one as a kid, but it wasn't ever my favorite, and so I didn't really know what to do with it, so I just went the obvious route. If you like Hercules, you'll probably like Percy Jackson. It's the obvious route, I know, with the Greek gods and everything. So yeah, with the Greek gods, and also a lot of like betrayal and revenge, which is in Hercules a lot. Anything with Greek gods has betrayal and revenge. So those are the parallels. I know this one's a little bit of a cop-out, sorry. All right, and then the last one I'm super proud of, okay? I watched Tarzan a ton growing up, and I loved it a lot, and again, it kind of made me feel homey. I didn't live in this part of Africa, but again, it's in Africa. It made me feel homey. And it was very much like fish out of water, very much like, the way I pinpointed it to a book was that Jane basically brings the villain in and it like trusts him at first. And so there's like a fish out of water. There's also that kind of aspect. So I picked Out of the Silent Planet, which is a book that way more people should read nowadays. It was very popular in its time, but I feel like less people read it now. It is C.S. Lewis sci-fi, which is crazy to think about. If you only know C.S. Lewis for Narnia, you should try this book. It's sci-fi. It's basically a guy gets kidnapped and brought to a different planet, and then his kidnappers are basically there to get what they can get, which is why I kind of connected them so much with the villain of Tarzan, Clayton. So it is definitely, the bad guys in this are very much like Clayton. They're there to see what they can get out of the world, whereas the main character, Ransom, he is there to discover. You know what I mean? So he was brought against as well, so he didn't really choose. But when he was there, he gets so interested and intrigued and discovers all the things about it, and I feel like that's a lot like Jane. So yeah, I feel like the characters are a lot like Tarzan in this, but then the plot's very different. Anyway, you should read Out on the Silent Planet. It is absolutely amazing, and the beginning is so atmospheric. It's like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? The beginning of this book is so intense. I love the beginning of this book. I really want to reread this one right now. Like right now. All right, so that is the Disney Renaissance. It was so much fun. These are like all my favorite movies. Even the one that I like the least is still an amazing movie, and I watched it all the time as a kid. So all 10 of these I watched as a kid a lot. So yeah, they're just very, very special to me. And so next we're going to be doing, I believe it's called the Experimental Era, where there are movies where I haven't seen them. So I'm going to have to scrounge them up and watch them. So yeah, I think that is it for today. Let me know down in the comments if there are any pairings that you think are better than what I paired, because I paired only from my shelf. So if you have a book that pairs better, let me know. But you're not allowed to pair, like for example, Beauty and the Beast is a book. You're not allowed to pair Beauty and the Beast with its book. You have to pair it with something else. So yeah, tell me that in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.